Hello, it's Wednesday. I didn't do a video last week because I was painting a commission and the commissioner didn't want to see what I was painting, so it was a surprise. But now I'm painting something different, and it's Beastgrave. That's right. I have myself an early copy of Beastgrave. You should have seen the unboxing video that I did. If you haven't, go and watch it. So here we have the kitty cat, and this is me painting them. So I'm going for a slightly different colour scheme to the box, which is that I'm going for white fur, blonde hair, but everything else is pretty similar. So I've got the orange kind of padded armour going on. See, I've done one side gold, one side black, just haven't done the other side yet. I'm going for glowing green eyes because they're just a bit easier than actually painting eyes, and they look kind of cool. And here's my mostly finished one. The archer lady. Will it focus? There we go. So that's what she's looking like at the moment. Been testing out some contrast paints on the bases. I can find, actually, there I can see the two straps. I only noticed when looking at a Warhammer community article about these guys that most people have been painting the side panel here, as skin with a couple of straps across it, and every time I looked at it I was like, I cannot see the strap that goes underneath the arm, but for some reason on the camera the lighting is hitting it in such a way that I can. So I'm going to have to go back and repaint the flesh in there. But that's how they're looking. This is the rough colour scheme. I'd recommend that there's two of these. I think it's these two. DOOT McDooterson and Bow Lady. They've got these weapons, or kind of... He's got a sword, she's got a quiver on their back. And they are actually holding the front of the model on. I would recommend that you glue the front of the model to the back of the model and leave these off so that you can paint them separately, because it'll be a lot easier than what I've been doing. Because there's some areas that I can see, but I cannot paint, which you probably can't see on the camera. But I can see them in real life, and I cannot actually physically get my brush to paint them, and I daren't try and pop this off now because they're so fragile. That I'm pretty sure that I would break it now. These are only push fit together, but it's very, very tight fit. I don't know if I can manage it. So this one's basically, I've got to repaint the sides now. Repaint the belt because I don't like it. I'm going to do it in the same colour as the cloth here, which I've done to look a bit like leaves. And I need to apply a little bit of a shade on the gold parts, paint the bow, which I'm just going to paint in a kind of bone colour, which will be kind of the same as the antlers for the centaur guy that I'm painting. And then, yeah, fix up the sides there, paint bits of the quiver gold, paint those fletchings. Not a lot left to do on this one. A couple of gems on the wristbands, which I'm going to paint as dead quick gems. I'm not going to do a lot of colours, and then it'll probably be 3 colours and a highlight, 3 colours for the transition, then a dot of white for the highlight, rather than lots and lots and lots of colours and blends and glazes and so on. So this is roughly what they're going to look like. If you look from there, you get exactly the sense of what it's going to look like. The base, messing about with some contrast paints that I picked up. The what is that? That's wildwood bark or something? Where is it? Contrast wildwood is what's gone on the base there, and I've just used the overspray to give myself some highlighting on it, and then just slapped wildwood on it, and it's actually worked quite well. But on the plants, while I like the colour, the way that it's settled is really, really wrong and off, and I don't like it, so I'm going to repaint those in a more traditional manner. So that's her, and then they've got DOOT McDooterson, who, that's the behind value. You can see I've not done as much on this guy. The skin is all airbrushed. I finally figured out a way to airbrush skin that I liked. There's a few little highlights with the paintbrush on the face, and in a couple of spots. But the skin is airbrushed, and the fur is airbrushed, and the hair is airbrushed. Everything on this is pretty much mostly for speed purposes. Here's Sword McSwordson doing a jump. He's a bit of a pain in the bum to paint, like under there. Fortunately, you don't really look under there. And the Centaur guy, who's like the centerpiece model, so I'm putting all my effort into this one. Now I've painted these as being padded, rather than weaved, so these are like quilted armor rather than the weaved armor that they do on the box, just because it's faster for me to do that, because that's only 2 highlights as opposed to like 6 trying to get them inside each little block going in the right direction, and that takes longer. So I've done mine that way just to make them look like they're kind of a padded quilted material rather than a weaved, woven thatched type material, I guess. And his hair and his arm aren't glued on or anything, so you can see a big gap there because it's just kind of gently pushed in for the look of the thing. And the armor plates can come off as well, as can the shield. And most of this guy's on camera already. In fact, all of this guy's on camera so far. So he's going to be the main guy. And hopefully I'm going to get this video done for Saturday. But it might not happen. But I'm going to try. There's not actually that much left to paint on the models themselves. It's mostly painting things black, like the straps, and then painting things gold or metallics. I've still got some highlighting to do on his little shin guards there, and his shoulder pad. I'd take a break every now and again from doing those highlights to do something else, because they take a while, and they're kind of boring. And they don't make a lot of progress on the model. So yeah, I've got the strap around the body of the horse part there to paint, which I'm just going to paint up black for a kind of monochrome finish. And the kind of spiky bit on the tail, I'm just going to paint that black and give it a quick airbrushed highlight just to make it look a bit sharper. And the same with the javelin. Will be mostly black, probably, with just an airbrushed grey highlight on it. Again, I'm trying to do these guys relatively quickly because I want to play with them some more, because I really like this warband. This warband is a lot of fun. They're definitely the stronger of the 2 out of the box. And yeah, so I'm painting up this entire warband so I can play with them, and I'm only going to be painting the one guy from Grashrax so that I can do a tutorial on Beastmen. And the rest of them I'm just going to leave in plastic because I can't be bothered to paint them, because I'm not a big fan of Beastmen, and I don't really like them as a warband, and neither does my partner, so we're probably not going to use them. So I'm just going to do the one for a tutorial. But we both really like these guys. We kind of fight over who gets to play as them. So, yeah. Skaeth's Wild Hunt. They're pretty good, yo. That's pretty much all I've been up to, really. Oh, hang on. I put the decals on the Orc Boys for my Blood Bowl team. But that's it. That's the only other thing I've been doing. Aside from painting commissions, that is. And trying to flesh out the history of my custom Space Marine chapter that I'm going to be painting for a Space Marine army. Small Space Marine army. Brown is an involved colour. This is a very, very bad coating of brown because I just had some left in the airbrush. And yeah, I will give you the short version. They're called the Brotherhood of the Eternal Scars. They are a White Scars successor from the Cursed Founding. And they live on a desert planet, a feral desert planet in the Imperium, which has a consistent orc problem. No matter how many orcs they kill, they just can't seem to get rid of them. And that's largely because the planet didn't always used to be a desert planet. It was actually a very verdant, lush, tropical world. But at some point, a orc warg got pulled out of the warp, and their space hulks just crashed into the planet. And caused a massive kind of extinction level event that completely changed the planet's climate and caused the humans that lived there to have to live underground in old tunnels that had been dug for mining purposes. There's a giant man-made canyon around the equator that was a result of ancient strip mining, called the Great Scar, funnily enough. And that's full of old mining equipment, huge, gargantuan, massive machines that the orcs have looted, and now so have the human tribes. There's a kind of a post-apocalyptic Mad Max thing going on that planet these days, which suits a White Scar's successor absolutely fine, because it means that there's tribes of humans battling not just each other, but also orcs, in order to survive, and that is right up the White Scar's alley. So, they're called the Brotherhood of the Eternal Scar, largely because they believe that every single wound, scar, piece of battle damage is sacred and tells a story. So they don't get their skin dermally regenerated or anything like that. So they, in some cases, engage in ritual scarification. And their final trial as a Space Marine is to go out without any armor or any weapons and return with a worthy trophy, which is usually the head of a really big orc, because they are head takers and trophy hunters, essentially. And during that process, they will typically acquire a very large number of scars across their body, which are to be treasured. This also means that they have a tendency to not repair cosmetic damage to their vehicles or armour. So all of their armour is absolutely just chipped and damaged to heck. A lot of them have bionic replacement limbs because they've lost a limb, but they still need one. But the bionic is itself like a badge of pride, and there's a story behind how they lost that limb and in what glorious combat they did it. And it's secretly an excuse to not have to actually edge highlight everybody and sponge the crap out of their armour. Yeah, I created a lore reason why their armour is always battle damaged. Unless you've just arrived at the chapter as a fresh initiate, your armour is not going to be pristine, not ever. And that's a lot faster to paint than it is to do lots of edge highlighting and make lots of nice pristine Space Marine armour. So that's roughly, that's the Space Marine chapter that I'm working on, because none of the chapters that are out there that really kind of tickled me. If you're playing along at home, these guys use the Hungry for Battle and Rapid Assault chapter tactics. So they run and charge very effectively, and they love assault weapons. Almost like they're Space Marine orcs, is what it comes down to. Their chapter master, I haven't figured out his name yet, but is considered to be immortal, because whoever becomes the next chapter master basically takes on the name of the chapter master. Currently I'm just mentally referring to them as the Immortal. And they don the same armour. The Tech Marines patch it up and keep it running, and this is because the armour is considered to be more fearsome than the man. As a symbol, especially on their home world, where the orcs will just run at the sight of this, the chapter master, but that's because of his armour, not because of who's wearing it. So it's a great honour to become the chapter master, but essentially your legacy, you're considered to have died at that point, because you then adopt the legacy of the immortal rather than your own one. So that's how it's going. Generally speaking, the chapter master is going to be wearing Gravis armor and going to be the toughest to kill at all. So what is it? Iron Resolve as a warlord trait, and the Armor Indomitus as a relic. So, you know, very tough to drop as a model. Kind of fighty, you know, standard chapter master fightiness. But that's the idea I'm going for. And yeah, the chapter master's armor is dinged to heck and back, and is just in a constant state of repair. And yeah, some of the Space Marines have crossed the Rubicon Primaris. Once they discovered that, yes, all of their scars would still be there after the fact. They just might be all stretched and a bit weird. But did mean that they had a tendency to rush out straight away in their new Mark 10 armor and go and get into a lot of fights. They're currently under strength, and yeah, they do field everything. They're a Codex compliant chapter. They don't have a big preference apart from that they do really enjoy running at the enemy and shooting lots of guns at them as they're doing so. So yeah, very much like Orcs but Space Marines. So that's my custom Space Marine chapter that I'm working on, the lore and look for. It'll be a desert kind of tan kind of colour scheme with lots of dings, dark red iconography and a black spot as a spot colour, mostly for the helmets. And I'm probably going to be using the Space Marines Legion, the Space Wolves Legion transfer sheet from Forge World for a lot of the chapter markings, apart from the shoulder pad, which I'm going to have to make my own decals for. But the squad markings and so on, and some of the other details on that transfer sheet look perfect for it. So there you go. In case you were interested, and I will do a painting tutorial on my custom Space Marine chapter once I actually figure out how I'm going to be doing it. So there we go. That's the only other thing I've been thinking about. So yeah, these guys soon, hopefully by Saturday, but it might be a bit later. To be honest, it all just depends upon my schedule. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe and a comment. Have you come up with your own Space Marine chapter? Or are you running a successor? Apparently Space Marines are good now. So, there's that. Also, Sisters of Battle in November. Looking forward to them. So, yeah. That's it. Bye-bye.